Welcome back. I just had an awesome experience with this thing. I'll show you in a second. I got it to spark, I got it to bite, and I got it to bark. So give me 2 seconds here and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, whee. So here in this Ranger fire up, put a little fire under my behind, under my you-know-what, and started building a fuel system for it. So I'm building it for E85 and building it enough to support 1,000 horsepower. So I've got an Aeromotive A1000 pump, which will support 1,000 horsepower on gasoline. However, it'll only support 700 horsepower on E85, and that just won't cut it. So I'm going to be running my old Bosch 044 pump, which is rated about 600 horsepower on gasoline. I'll be running that in parallel with the A1000 pump. So I had to take the fuel cell out, and I'll show you this here in a second. Let me spin this around. So I had to take the fuel tank out, the fuel cell, which is a beer keg. On the old E85, or sorry, gasoline 044 setup, I ran everything out of a single Dash 8 fuel spigot welded into the bottom. These are JIC fittings, but JIC and AN share the same taper. One's aluminum, one is steel. So I got two Dash 10 fittings out the bottom of the tank now, and this Dash 8 will now be my return line. So I've got this one will feed the A1000, this one will feed the 044, and then they will Y together after a check valve in the A1000, so it doesn't backfeed back into the tank, because the A1000 is not going to be running all the time. It'll be running under boost. So that 044 will continue on its regular street duty, and it'll be running full time when the engine's running, but the A1000 will kick in when it's needed. Well, the fuel system plumbing is now done until I upgrade the fuel rails. So let's see if I can get a good video of this. I'm not a real big fan of having these 180-degree fittings on there, but that's the last of the fittings I had in the kit. So that's what we got. We sent them. Put a couple of ball valves in here. So fuel system service will be a little easier. We're going back over here. A couple of filters in line, the 100 micron filters. I got my Bosch 044 pump here. That's going to be running full time. That's the primary pump. And I've got an Aeromotive A1000 that is going to be running under boost only. And we bring her up here to a Y block. Oh yeah, back here there's a check valve on the A1000 pump, so it only allows fuel that way. It can't backfeed. Yeah, Y block up over the C notch here. Oh, come on, now I'm stuck. There we go. Follow that up. I've got a Dash 8 return and a Dash 10 feed. These are tranny cooler lines. Go to the tranny cooler sitting there. Up over the crossover. This one goes in the frame, runs up to the front. This one hops over the cross member. My mufflers will be sitting right in this area. To a Dash 10 filter, 10 micron filter. And we come up a little further to another Y block. That Y block goes to two Dash 6 lines up to the fuel rail. Once I get bigger fuel rails, not the stock ones, I'll once I get bigger fuel lines, fuel rails. Once I get bigger fuel rails, I'll upgrade those -6 lines to -10 lines, and I'll have enough fueling for whatever I need. But for this year, I'll run it on the stock rails and until I reach my horsepower limit on them. Well, now that I've got the fuel system all sorted out, all the plumbing is done for that. I still have to hook up the electrical side of it, but that's easy enough. The transmission cooling lines are back in and plumbed where they need to go. The clutch slave cylinder is also hooked up. I need to bleed that, but again, not a problem at all. I'm going to move on to the exhaust and build some headers for it. So I'll spin this around and I'll show you what I've got going on. So, being out of the weld and fab shop for a bit, I had to screw a couple of these up before I got it right. So, tack them back together and cut them where they need to be. It's just a little repair after the fact. Not a big deal. So, that's what we're doing here with that, in an effort to make a couple of merge collectors, and I'll trim this off all flush and level once I start fabricating everything else. So that's going to sit on top of there. It fits better one way than the other, and that's by design. So yeah, that's going to go on top of there, and I'll show you how I'm doing these pieces. Walk over my messy garage here to the bandsaw. I've made a quick little jig here, and grab that. So I've cut this piece already. You know, that cuts down that way. Take this out. I rotate this 90 degrees, possibly a little bit more, you know, like 87 degrees. Or 93 degrees, you know, all the way around. So I cut this edge off now, and I'll show you that in 2 seconds here. So after a whole bunch of steps that I didn't record and didn't even barely take pictures of, I'll send you this, or I'll show you this, and this is my header progress. So that's the driver's side, this is the passenger side, both very similar. Still not a fan of welding stainless, but whatever. I don't have a purge kit. This is Schedule 10 1.5" stainless. I'm not worried about it breaking, and if it breaks, I'll weld it up again. So yeah, there's that. We're getting a lot of progress done, and if I keep talking on here, then I can't make progress on here, and I've come to the conclusion nobody wants to watch me build it, so I'll build it and I'll show you pictures and videos afterwards. So I'm going to keep going. Progress report. Building turbo headers sucks. But here they are. That's the passenger side, still not welded together. A lot of cutting and fitting and bending and measuring. We're bolted onto a cast iron manifold. This is all built out of 1.5" Schedule 10 pipe. 1.9 outside, 1.68 inside, and it'll look similar to that with a flange on top there. Well, there we have it. one turbo manifold is done. She's heavy. It's hot still. I just finished welding the wastegate exit on. Yeah, I know it's not ideal angle, but that's the angles I have to work with, and that's the space I have to work with. So that's that. Very happy with the way this turned out. Still got a little bit of cleanup work inside, but as far as that, I mean, should work way better than the log manifolds I had on the 4.6. Oh boy, it has been a minute, but these things are finally done. This is the passenger side. We got the wastegate placement on there. All the tubes welded up. Everything fitting. So I've got about 40 hours into both of these headers. So that's why it costs so much to build something, because it is friggin' time consuming. So we're going to put these on here, and I'm going to get on to exhaust. Well, now that the headers are done, I got the turbos mounted on there as well. So oil lines run. Actually, the feed oil lines are not hooked up yet. We're getting there. Drain lines are made, both going into the pan. I'll show you the headers underneath, how they fit. Not a lot of room, but they'll go. I'll build some wastegate dump tubes coming out of here, and I'll probably dump them over here where the old ones used to be dumped. But for now, the wastegates are still loose. Obviously, no vacuum lines hooked up to them yet. But that's how the passenger side fits. And I'll walk over to the driver's side. And very similar style, just made for more steering shaft clearance. But yeah, that's how that's in there. It's a very snug fit in a little truck. So I think with that, we're going to move on to building exhaust now. So now with that, I gave you a look at what the fuel system is going to be like under here. I gave you a look at the headers and the turbo placement and how much time is involved in building a set of headers for these. And I'm about 40 hours into building the pair of these stainless headers. They're all 1.5 Schedule 10 stainless steel, 304 stainless steel. So they may crack down the line. I'll burn that bridge when I get there. Just about every turbo header cracks. So with that being said, figure it out your own way.